It's terrific to be back for our second conference. We met you all last year for the first time after many, many years of working with officers and staff across the UK in policing with our assistive technology. It felt like we'd been living under a rock the whole time. Didn't realize the association existed, that it had such an amazing membership. And coming last year, we just felt like the conference, the culture of the conference was just where we wanted to be. And so we are delighted to be back here again, supporting it even more. I'll give you a caveat off the beginning here. I'm going to be shamelessly plugging MindView on this particular demonstration. I think last year when I did it, I was trying to be a bit more, let's learn something about mind mapping. I think this time I'm going to be a bit more pressured on why MindView specifically. So just to manage everyone's expectations on that. Just as a quick show of hands in the room before we get started. Does anyone here use MindView already? Lily and Dave at the back, Jan, fantastic. Yes, terrific. Anyone? Okay, another show of hands. Who's never heard of MindView ever before? Nice, excellent. Okay, well, as we know with the conference, we're all amongst friends. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just all our personal experiences, and what works for you works, what doesn't work, don't use it, right? We're not precious about that. Just to introduce myself, my name's Liam. We're going to be here for the whole conference. We do have a company credit card to buy drinks later. I mean, did I say that out loud? I've been deploying MindView for about 9 years now, and that's not just in policing, local authorities, NHS, through to your FTSE 100s, and even one-man bands. You know, come through Access to Work and one-man bands using MindView. So I guess what I wanted to express today, and what makes me nervous about doing these presentations, is trying to get all the information out. What I want to express today is, the importance of assistive technology, how it can benefit, how it actually can transform the lives of individuals who have a need for it, but how it has a place as a mainstream tool for all individuals who just want to find a different way of working that isn't being facilitated through those traditional setups of pens and paper, Microsoft Office, or other tools and things like that. But really my objective, if you leave this session, what do I normally say? If you leave this session more excited about assisted tech and MindView when you first came into it, job done. My aim is not to make you MindView experts in this session, far from it. So feel free, if some information goes in one ear and out the other today, that's fine, just let it be. We'll have lots of opportunities to teach you a bit more about MindView in the future. Terrific. I think the captions are coming through. Excellent. Let's just move on. So when we look at a workplace adjustments process, we kind of fall into this category of digital assistive technologies. And those of you who have either been through a workplace adjustments process or manage your internal workplace adjustments process probably recognize there's a tremendous amount of repetition in that. When we look at digital assistive technologies, there's always going to be a text-to-speech program, speech-to-text program, mind mapping software, maybe some specialist software for capturing lectures, audio note-taking. And then when you start getting into hearing loss or physical impairments, we've got captioning, screen magnifiers, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what makes it very challenging for an organization to deploy technology is that you are at the mercy of your assessor. Some of your assessors are external, maybe through Access to Work DWP. Some of you have upskilled your own internal assessors, but even in your own internal team, your assessors have the tools that they have a preference for. And so you are constantly barraged with employees saying, well, my report says I need this particular piece of software, or I need this piece of software. And when it comes to mind mapping softwares, I don't know, last count, there's probably 30, 40 different mind mapping softwares you can choose. There's multiple dictation platforms, multiple text-to-speech, all these different tools. So one thing I challenge every organization to do is take control of your own catalog. Do your own due diligence. Select the best of breed of each category so that when the assessor is going out and they're still recommending all these different tools, your digital team aren't overwhelmed by this response and say, well, actually, we've done our work. This particular software complies with our data security policies. It complies with the feature sets that we're looking for. And so this is not an exhaustive list, but you would probably need one piece of software for each of these. Is that a challenge that you guys kind of recognize in your forces, this constant barrage of different technologies and trying to manage that? Yeah, the analogy I was drawing with a colleague earlier is a bit like many, many years ago, where facilities were told, right, we need to prepare our environments for individuals with low vision and no vision. So we need to dig up pavements, we need to put in textured floors, we need to put lines in, we need to improve our signage and things like that. And the cost of that's quite high. And facilities in their business case go, right, well, how many people is this going to impact? And many organizations were saying, oh, well, no one yet, or maybe one person. And that person in facilities obviously feels like, well, I'm not going to give that high priority because I've got everyone walking on this particular pavement and I want to focus on that first. And it's the same with technology. When you engage with your IT teams, and I'm sorry if there's IT teams in the room here today, you're probably more concerned about getting onto Windows 11. What can I do with Copilot? What's the latest Adobe suite of softwares that we could be using? You know, these tools that are being used by a wide range of individuals. But whilst it is a kind of very small category, assisted technology, its impact is massive. Even if it's just for one person to arrive at work, thrive at work, stay in work, the impact is very significant. But the good thing as well, which I try to teach lots of IT managers, is there's an opportunity to use these tools outside of the assistive technology catalog. It's not just for people who've had a workplace adjustment. Maybe you're an auditory learner, so you prefer to have things read aloud to you. Maybe you're a visual learner and you prefer to have mind mapping strategies as a way instead of just opening up Word and struggling in Word. So again, we need to kind of reframe our way of looking at assistive technology and almost take a little bit of a leap of faith that it should move away from just a workplace adjustment cost center and should move into its own cost center in the digital toolkit. Is that all making sense? I should have said at the start, I've got lots of opinions, so sorry about that. Let's get back to mind mapping. All right, so we've all probably drawn a mind map, right? If you think about it, there's probably somewhere in your force right now where there's a meeting room with a mind map that was drawn about 6 months ago that hasn't been wiped off the board or still on that page. But let's just talk about the language so we're on the same page. A mind map is characterized by having one central root in the middle, with then an exploding organic hierarchy of main branches and sub-branches. When we teach users how to get the most out of mind mapping, you just keep your text to short, sharp keywords, you use images, and you use colors. Because what a mind map is ideally meant to achieve is you look at it at a glance, and you can digest large amounts of concepts, information very, very quickly. Not only that, you can compartmentalize where that information belongs, and you can process it quicker. Now, all of those things sound terrific for everybody, but if you add to that challenges, say dyslexia around short working memory, processing, executive function, you can start to see this strategy is actually transformative to help you process information. Now, the other thing about a mind map, when people draw it on a piece of paper, or they open up PowerPoint, or they open up Visio and tools like that, to a kind of layman, what they actually draw is a concept map. So start with a lovely idea in the middle, branch out an idea, that goes out to another idea, which goes to another idea over here, and a main idea, a sub-idea, and an idea. And all you've actually achieved by drawing a concept map is you've mapped out the chaos that already exists. And you're back at square one all over again. A mind map is very strict in this hierarchy. So you can see these ideas are very strict in main branches and sub-branches. That helps you get from, and I've got a graphic later, gets you from the kind of scrambled egg chaos of ideas and thoughts and information to actually then helping us to transpose that information into where it's ultimately needs to be, i.e. into a Word document, into a PowerPoint document, or niche, for example, trying to get things into the right place and taking that big picture look using mind mapping. Does that all make sense? Yeah, good. I should have said at the start as well with this mind map, this here, in the mind mapping category, MindView is actually the single most recommended software through DWP's Access to Work. So you've probably got users either with licenses that they can't realize because they're stuck at the data security side and no one's installed the software, or we've got users with the software and they've been given 10 other softwares and they don't realize they've got MindView and they've never had the training and all these other complications, which is why I'm a big advocate for bringing it in-house. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to increase our productivity. what we see, especially when we use technology, we remove a lot of repetition. Now, even for a project manager, this is wonderful because you go from your drawing it on a sticky notes, then you go to your Gantt chart, then you go to your Word documents, and you're reproducing all that same information again and again and again. I'll show you how MindView stops that repetition of work. We're going to look at how we can improve our communication. Again, without going into too much detail, there's a guy called Tony Buzan, by the way, who's accredited with the modernized techniques of mind mapping. But what a lot of his studies and case studies demonstrate is that it appeals to both left and right brain thinkers. So again, in layman's terms, it appeals to those people who are all over the place and those people who like a list. For the reason that, one, it's organic in its nature and its structure, that it's visual, but because of the hierarchy, it's actually ordered as well. So it appeals to people who like lists and it appeals to people who like diagrams. We're going to improve our executive function. That just means we're not going to feel that overwhelmed. We're going to be able to produce better work. It improves memory recall. That's why everybody uses it for exams. Probably everyone, again, is when you think about mind maps, you think about that history exam you did years ago, and you've got all your different colors and the dates of when said Danish king came and took us all over. And I referenced the Danish there for reasons you know why later. But not to be outdone by anything is when I show you the case studies later, the quotes that we've highlighted is this expression of release, this lowering stress, this, actually, maybe I'll just jump over to one right now because I think it's just terrific. Let me just move you out the way. It helped me realize I'm not stupid. It's just my brain works differently. And with a bit of help from MindView, I can achieve much more than I realized. MindView helps me put the information for a case more chronologically, makes it easier and see everything clearly, stay organized. Someone at ASDA said, when I start a new project, I can breathe a sigh of relief because I know it'll be so much easier with MindView. So it's this kind of like, okay, we're appealing to people's strengths with the strategy that works for them, and as a result of that, they're happier with their work. When you're happier with your work, the outcomes, as we know, are much better, much more improved. All of these case studies, by the way, came from the last 1.5 months. So we get these sorts of feedback all the time. All right, but okay, let's get practical about where this is going to sit in your organization, because assistive technology, I find, always kind of moves between pillar and post. Who's responsible for assistive tech? Is it your OD? Is it EDI? Is it your digital team? Where's it going to sit? Well, the challenge for you guys is that it sits in all of them. So it's kind of like you need some kind of assistive technology czar who's going to help realize the benefits in all of these different areas. When we're looking at D&I, of course, it's helping for those specific instances of dyslexia, autism, ADHD, anything that affects executive functions. That could also be stress-related illnesses, long-term sickness. And also it helps you remain compliant when you're looking at your WCAG guidelines. WCAG, if you don't know, stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Now, I know we have to keep our websites compliant, but this set of standards is also being reverse engineered into our digital experience, full stop. So again, assistive technology can help you achieve that. The big one around productivity, the examples I'll give you today, running a case, writing your reports, running meetings, running projects, all these different things. The beauty of assistive tech when it's done properly, it's a tool. Everyone uses it very differently. We have just ended a pilot funded by NHS England in a trust where they made it available to a cohort of individuals paid for by the NHS. And they saw the widest take-up of disciplines than any other digital pilot they've ever done. Because normally these tools are very hyper-fixated on specific areas where someone found a use for it in lots of different disciplines. And then project management. Any PMs in the room? Anyone like a Gantt chart? Good. You actually fell into my trap perfectly there. But I'm sure you all have some level of project management responsibility. And ask you to go to Microsoft Project, you'll probably have a cold sweat, run out the room. You probably defer to things like Excel, pull your hair out with that, or then just go to PowerPoint at the end of the day and just create some visualizations. So what I'm going to show you with MindView is that it's a PM tool for those of you who maybe haven't got your Prince 2, but you've got to deliver on some projects. And I'm going to show you some easy ways on doing that. Let's skip through some of these because I want to get into the software itself. one of the things you want to look at whenever you're commissioning someone to build any new piece of digital tech for you is how accessible is that? And there's two ways you can go about adhering to a digital accessibility. One, you can have that built into your tool itself. Using those WCAG guidelines, does it adhere to accessibility standards? Or, and this is the reason why Access to Work exists, for digital tech, you buy third-party software to do that. So we kind of take that response as well. So in MindView, we've got our own digital accessibility tools, read aloud, dictation, keyboard-only shortcuts, low contrast mode, high contrast mode, all these things that niche doesn't have. And then you've got then the ability to work with third-party tools, Dragon voice control, Zoom text, Supernova, text help, whatever it might be. And if you're interested, the Digital Accessibility Center, we defer to them. We have them audit MindView regularly. And they do all sorts of audits, not just software audits, but organizational digital policy audits. If you want to really learn about digital inclusion, they're the guys to do it. Lots of people use it. 20 forces here use it at the moment. Some of them don't know it because of Access to Work. And then also the exciting thing for you guys is there's a big crossover between education and your workforce with that higher education link. Assisted tech is thriving at higher education. Is anyone familiar with the fund called the Disabled Students Allowance? Yeah. It's surprising that more of you don't know that. The Disabled Students Allowance is the same as Access to Work, but at higher education. And it can award an individual up to £24,000 per year for digital accessible tools, for non-medical help provision, for all sorts of things to help students arrive in education and thrive in education. It's one of the questions I'm surprised we don't ask our recruits more. Obviously, it's something that they have to disclose themselves. Did you receive DSA funding when you went to university? If the answer is yes, then you probably had Dragon, Text Help, MindView. Would you like to replicate that support in your experience here at the Force? Just a suggestion, but disclosure rates are everything, aren't they? And DSA is actually a very positive experience for students, and so they seem very active to want to talk about it. All right, I'm gonna have some fun with you now and talk about why mind mapping, because some of you might be sat here going, I hate mind maps. And that's not uncommon. So let me just help you build empathy around what it's like for someone to be given a mind mapping software when it actually appeals to their way of working. So the next slide I'm going to show you has the numbers 1 through to 35 just scattered all over the screen. There is a bottle of champagne for the person who can count those numbers in sequence from 1 to 35 in 10 seconds. Who's competitive? All of you, I can imagine. Let's see how you get on. Okay, so let's count in 3, 2, 1. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just for trying. Yeah. All right, any advances on 2? 8, that's good. Any advances on 8? 10, very good. 11, very, very good. I didn't get past 2 when I first did this. That's why I started at 2. Okay, well. Yeah. The next logical step. Yeah. Correct. And so if I took the numbers away and ask you, how did that exercise, even though it's 10 seconds, how did it feel to perform that exercise? What are some kind of words that we would think about? Anxious, frustration, overwhelm. There's a little excitement in there. Yeah, it gets your heart going. It definitely does. I mean, the more I do it, the more sadistic I realize I am, because I get to watch everyone's coping strategies come to the surface. My favorite was this one here. I see it a lot. It's the head move. I want to demonstrate to the world I'm working. I'm making no progress, but you can't fault me for not working. You can always tell when someone's come to these sessions with a friend because they verbalize the number they're on to their mate. They go 3, 3, 3, and hoping that it's that one. 4, 4, you know. And what's interesting again is you just achieve that with random numbers on a screen. The factors of stress that are added when that's actually relevant information And it doesn't have to be a slide. It could be someone talking to you. It could be someone showing you a piece of documentation, whatever. Whatever is not your native way of digesting information, that stress is plus, 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 plus. Now, what I'm going to do is bring those numbers back. Don't have too much PTSD looking at these again, but if I add a structure to it, all along there was a sequence. 1, 2, oh, someone made the, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, blah, 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 blah. My mind can process it quicker, and if I took it away, and I asked you where's 5, you've got a memory recall strategy that would help you understand where that was. And this is a very, very crude example, but helps build empathy as to what it feels like when someone who wants to see things in a visual way gets information presented in a mind map. Because it's that, okay. I think last year we had a fantastic colleague from, Matt, you might remind me which force it was. I think it was Derbyshire, in fact. And she works, again, I don't know the terminology, but she takes the 999 calls, and I put the mind map up on the screen. She goes, that's how my brain feels, this visual layout of all this information. And I show this to you, and if I took it away, you'd probably remember very quickly where we're going to go on holiday, maybe what we're going to do when we get there. But the challenge that we're trying to solve with MindView is the reality of our workspaces is that. And that's the same information that we had on the mind map. If I'd have shown you that first and took it away over the same period of time, would you have recalled what was in it? Would you know what the document was about? I'm that kind of individual. I read through it and I'm going back to the top straight away again to remind myself what's in there. And isn't that funny? When you've got a list like this, you give importance to the stuff at the top and less importance to the stuff at the bottom. Whereas a mind map is this kind of almost like equally weighted diagram that helps you to access information in a non-linear fashion. And if I could be so bold, your work is non-linear by its nature. But then you still have to write it like this. So sadly, I'm not going to show you an integration with Niche today, but those officers who do use MindView to help manage their cases often find they plan everything out in a mind map first, and then they find the quality of what they put into Niche is of much higher quality, and it's quicker just to copy paste. Another case example is the CPS use MindView extensively, and even some of their case officers have reported that when they receive a filing for prosecution, when it's got the mind map at the top, they can process that case far quicker. Anyway, what I'm going to show you though is how long have I got? 20 minutes. Oh, awesome. I'm going to challenge you now as well. One last thing. I also recognize that every business is on a sliding scale of maturity when it comes to deploying assistive technology. Probably the vast majority of public sector organizations are still in the access to work category, which I would not to offend anyone, I'd say that's the entry level. That's the bare minimum. There's a third-party process. I'm going to wash my hands of it, go over there and come back with a receipt that I've done my job. Those organizations, and we're looking to recruit a demonstrator police force, by the way, to help us show the impact of this, that when they make these tools that are on repeat recommended anyway, when they take the positive action step to make it available to everyone, the business learns about these tools. They deploy them within the data security guidelines. So no one's waiting 18 months for access to work and then waiting for another 18 months for someone in IT to sign off that piece of technology. You also see organizational development kick in, where internally you start creating your own learning and development pieces around assistive tech, and you start building out organizational knowledge around assistive tech. And the last point I'd say on that is the thing I get from all access to work colleagues when they get MindView, not just MindView, but all assistive tech, they understand what the technology can do, what it can offer, but they don't know what to use it for specifically. What in my job role am I going to use this for? And when you think about it, giving that to the person in isolation who's getting the support to answer that question is a really tall order, and it's a lot of stress to work that out. So again, the organization's DWP is actually one of those organizations. When they take responsibility of it in-house, they start creating use cases that are specific and pertinent to the business. You then have leadership and line management formalizing processes around the use of the tool for some of these individuals. And all of a sudden, it's not a case of what does the tool do anymore, but I'm going to use it to do my next case, or I'm going to use it when I'm next going to court and I want to show information in a graphical way, whatever it might be. I told you I've got lots of opinions, and I'm not hiding from them today. Is this all making sense? Yes, good, excellent. Good, good, good. All right, so let's actually just jump into this and actually have a go on the software itself. If I can see my key cursor, that'd be great. Where has that disappeared to? There. All right, so like I said, this is going to go in one ear and out the other. That's totally fine. If you can, just find and think about one thing that you would use this for. Everyone gets very excited and thinks about the 20, 30, 40 different things that you can use it for. And when you think like that, it then ends up getting used for nothing. Just low barrier. Just pick one thing that you might use this for. We're going to look at mind maps. We're going to look at timelines, year wheels, Gantt charts, all these good things. The first thing off the bat that everyone should recognize, however, is that the software is designed to look identical. Is it okay if I put the captions at the bottom, or do you prefer them at the top? Oh, someone's calling me. Go away. Is that it looks like identical to Microsoft Office. We've made a really deliberate decision to do that, to help businesses deploy the software, not only from a learning and training element of how to use the software, but 90% of enterprise organizations, you are Windows, 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 Microsoft through and through. And the question we often get in business cases is, well, what does MindView do that our current existing toolkit can't do? So if we put it into the housing of a Microsoft Office tool, we actually find that it improves the experience of Microsoft Office for all users, because the integration with Microsoft Office is just terrific. So you still live in this ecosystem of Microsoft Office. You can see there's our accessibility toolkit right there at the front. We've got voices to read aloud. We've got dictation, keyboard-only shortcuts, lots of different exciting things to do. But what makes MindView and mind mapping an assistive technology is that it is a strategy. It is a way of working that helps you to get ideas out, process your thoughts, and start doing your work, okay? So what shall I do? Let's keep it serious. This is a very important piece of work that we've all got to get done. So I challenged the room, shout out some characters. Was that Spider-Man? Spider-Man? Who else? Iron Man. Thank you. Captain America. You've all, yeah, excellent. Let me just go back to this one. That was Iron Man, wasn't it? You get to watch me type. This is the most exciting thing of the demonstration. Okay, for those of you who don't actually care about this subject at all, let's change the emphasis. If I was doing a piece of research on these characters, what would be some good topics, some good themes for us to maybe go and research? Superpowers, excellent. You've seen this demo before. What else would be good? Origins, yeah. I'm not sure which has got the biggest backstory, an X Factor contestant or a superpower. One last one. Relationships. Okay, excellent. Now again, you've fallen beautifully into my trap, which is we didn't know we were going to talk about this topic. But with the aid of visualizations, we could guide our thinking. It probably felt good when your idea came onto the screen, and when we moved the conversation onto the next piece, the hierarchy of the mind map helped guide and focus our thinking. Okay, we're now going from the characters, and we're now going into the subcategories. This is why, so I'm told from a colleague at West Yorkshire Police, this is why mind maps are so effective in the peace interview process. Because it helps to structure and outline that interview. And then, of course, it helps you to guide around it. I think you've got to go around it 3 times, right? Properly. Capture all your notes in it. But what I'm told, again, equally by those individuals is then transferring from the mind map to your report writing. A lot of recruits really struggle with that bit. And so I'm hopefully going to show you how good that is in MindView. Okay, let's speed this up, just like you would in Office. Control-C to copy, V to paste, V to paste, V to paste. And in next to no time, what a lot of the users express is, they've got started and they've actually created something that if they follow the traditional ways of working would take them way, way longer to structure and outline their thoughts and ideas in this way. Now, just like the random numbers on the screen, we read our mind map chronologically. So you can see I've turned on the numbering scheme. We're now reading my map clockwise around that screen. It enables us just to take that big step backwards. And once we've got ideas out there in the wrong place, you can just drag and drop, move things around, and that numbering scheme just updates for you automatically. When you understand the relationship between the mind map and the Word document, you will never start a Word document in Word ever again, because you can create your headering outline in a mind map so much quicker and drag everything out and just send it to Word and it's done for you. Now, I spoke about in the strategy that it's just short, sharp keywords, right? So one of the mistakes I see lots of new mind mappers make is they will put on long sentences onto the mind map, all that fantastic information about the superpowers of Iron Man. And it may as well just be absolute gobbledygook, because when you put long sentences, protracted paragraphs on a mind map, it detracts from that ability for you at a glance to access information and to digest information. So if you want to start adding your, doing your writing your report, your essay, whatever it might be, this is kind of step 2 of the process. If step 1 is build your mind map, step 2 is to add all your content. Now I'm going to talk about writing, because that's a really important one for recommending for writing strategies. But you'll also start to empathize why this is a great case management tool, because you can put all your images, you can put attachments, sound files, video files, links to websites. You can turn your entire mind map into a content management repository. Now, for those of you with data security hats on, terrified about where's my data going, how is it being processed, they're actually just pathway links to the source locations of that data. So essentially what you're doing with your mind map is creating a visual signpost that helps you access all the different locations of where that data is actually handled. So hopefully that alleviates any worries about that. And aren't I a popular person today? Thank you very much. So let me, again, I'm going to just open up my text note here. The reason why I show this is quite often an assessor will recommend assistive technology for reading and writing. MindView kind of falls into that writing and composition side of things. One reason is because you create this lovely outline on the right-hand side over here where you're building out all your thoughts and ideas. And then the second is because when you're going to come to do the writing, you've got a word processor built into your mind mapping tool. So you've got this lovely visual navigation that helps you to go, right, where am I writing and am I getting things into the right place? But you've got the kind of the mindset of, oh yeah, I'm actually doing some writing right now, okay? So again, we're going to focus on superpowers. Iron Man is a narcissistic, rich guy with an iron suit. Jesus, there we go. Move on. Paperclip appears. I've just got some text. Move back to it. There's my text. The example I gave to a colleague earlier is, and we've all been in meetings like this, where you're the note taker. You've got the agenda, but who sticks to the agenda, right? And you're going all over the place. But if you imagine on the right-hand side, that's the visualization of your agenda, and you're capturing the notes of that person. Someone goes off topic. I can very quickly go to that topic and type it. Or I can create a brand new branch. Either I know where it goes or I don't, so I can drag and drop and move it there and then get the content in the right place. Now that's an experience we've all had when someone goes off topic. I think it's a really good way of describing a neurodiverse brain. It goes off topic quickly and consistently. So again, this is a great way of helping to keep up with your speed of thought, capture things when it comes out before your short working memory gives up and you've lost the idea. It's a way of working that appeals to lots of neurodivergent minds, mine included. So far, let me just simplify. Blank page, dumped your ideas, organized it, and now you're starting to actually do your work. Is this all making sense? Yeah? Excellent. Well, in good old Blue Peter fashion, let's go to one that I made earlier. And I'm going to go to the example of workplace adjustments. Let's go to police. These are just some of the examples that I use when training officers on how to use MindView. But I'm just showing the meeting one here. Okay, so in this example, I think I did click it. Let me just try it one more time. That'd be better. There we go. So this is the outline of the agenda as I spoke about. You know how I built the mind map, and then just on each of these outer branches, I've got some text notes and other things like that. Now, Just before I turn this into a Word document, let me make sure that I can do this effectively. Accompanying the MindView desktop app is a mobile app. Now again, you're probably thinking data security, endpoint management, how secure is all of this? The Home Office has just approved this for their staff. They've rolled out the full deployment of MindView from the desktop apps to the online Azure-hosted tools to this, even to our AI functionality that we've got in MindView as well. And boy, did they test us. So the app is designed to be like your on-the-go, I guess it's a OneNote comparison. But we've made it more accessible. So for example, you can't see my phone here, maybe come to the stand, I'll show it a bit later. You can capture images, you can capture text, but maybe I'm more of an auditory thinker. I just want to dump my ideas out onto a dictaphone. So I'm here presenting MindView. I hope it's going okay. Everyone seems pretty engaged, and let's see what the reaction's like towards the end of the presentation. Pause record, pause record, pause record, and I can save that, and it's now appearing in my desktop. So when I'm authoring my documents, I can just drag and drop and move this content into my mind map. Now, what makes this accessible? It's asking me to be on the Wi-Fi. Let me just change my settings that it can drain my data. Feel free to drain my data. There we go. Let's refresh that. What makes this accessible is that we comply heavily to the WCAG framework. Okay, so not only is that things like low contrast mode, nice colors, that I can use dictation, things like that, but what's then further, if I do have audio, what if I want then that to be text? I can just select transcribe, and it's now taking my audio, automatically transcribing it on my phone, and then digital text will then appear on the screen as well. Again, my internet is not 4G right now. But anyway, so in practice, I think what we're finding a lot of individuals who like MindView are those people when they're out and about, they don't have their laptop with them to then build a mind map, right? So they just want to capture it on the go. They want to take photos. They want to do all sorts of things. I won't take a photo of you guys because I'm friendly like that. And it all starts to appear, and then you can just drag and drop and move it into your mind map. Okay. Build a mind map, outline your work, add your content, and then take it with you if you need to capture your content as you go and you just dump all your ideas. Students will love you for this, by the way. All of your new recruits will absolutely bite your hand off for this. And it also improves the outcomes when they actually come to the examinations that they pass it, which is obviously what we all want, right? If you feel free, just on your own phones, Google MindView University. About 3/4 of all UK universities have MindView available to every student as a study skills tool, as a disability support tool. Don't just take my word for it. But this is the showstopper moment. It's great that it's in MindView, but the reality is, what's our documents look like? They look like Word, they look like PowerPoint, these different things. Choose a template in MindView or make you look like a rock star. The number of people who export to Word for the first time and their mind is blown by the fact that I made that, I created that. If you asked me to do that in Word, I just couldn't do it. So let's export it to that particular template, turn off my images, and export this out. Is anyone actually doing any further education at the moment, higher education? Anyone doing a degree in the room? Yeah, it's got a built-in citation tool. It'll make your bibliography for you. It's terrific. Students have never had it so good. And let's say yes to that, export it out. Okay, so again, this is a local transaction. It's just making a new Word document on your device. It's not processing it in the cloud anywhere. It's not using Azure. It's just a local transaction. Who's our highest security customer? I think AWE is one of our high security customers. The guys who hold our nuclear bombs, those guys. All right, so we've come over to Word, got a title page, image of the mind map. Main branches, main headers, sub-branches, subheaders, radial sequence of your mind map, linear outline of this Word document. For the love of God, leave your mind map in there. When you present someone with a table of contents, it looks like every other table of contents that you've ever made. And it's linear. So already you are alienating those people who look at a list and go, I don't know what's in this. That's why the mind map is so good at a glance, understanding what's in it. But if I scroll down, all of my writing, all of my content is then just the body text underneath each header. You can then export that out to PowerPoint. Let's do that as well with our super characters, superheroes. This is genuinely an get out of jail free card. You've got a meeting in 10 minutes. You've not prepped for it. It's all in your head. You'll sound great, but you want to look great. So you just dump a few ideas onto a mind map, send it to PowerPoint like we're about to do now. And then because of the way that we've laid out the data in the slides, it works really well with Designer. So a couple clicks later, you're going into that meeting and everyone's going, boy, you spent a long time on that. And you don't give away any of your trade secrets with this. That's the key here. Let people think you've spent a long time doing it. But the whole point of this is it's about transposing this data into other formats without this constant repetition. Now, what the software was originally built for was for project managers because their repetition in their workload is huge. So let me give you an example of this. So new tasers. I think they're showing tasers out there. Is there going to be a live demonstration of that, Jetta? For all officers in the UK. Sorry if there's taboo subject. Project plan. All right, so for those of you who just don't know where to get started with mind mapping, we've got some built-in AI that will allow you to just get over that blank page, and it will help based off either an existing mind map or off your prompt in the middle, get you started with your plan here. So what are the training requirements for officers? What's the deployment schedule, budget allocation, et cetera, et cetera. Procurement process is an interesting one. It's a blind spot for me. So what I'm going to ask the AI now to do is give me some questions to help me think about the subject matter in more detail. Now, what's great about this is when you've got an existing mind map, it's going to learn from your entire mind map to help inform the prompts that you're doing on your outer branches. So let's do questions around my procurement process. Great. And again, we're desperately not trying to do the work for colleagues and for students. It helps you think about things that perhaps you hadn't thought of before. And it takes into consideration the entire mind map. Now, what I really came here to do is to show you this then as a project. And we can either just go straight into a project Gantt chart and terrify all of you, but I'm just going to go to a more simplified timeline. Now, this is where it gets interesting for a lot of operational officers, because creating chronologies is probably one of the most complex things to do when you're pulling that out just from text, regardless if there's challenges around reading and writing and processing information. So we can build out that mind map, that witness statement, and then we can come into our timeline and then start to say, right, well, that happened on this date. And you can go right down to hours and seconds of the day or whatever you want to do. And you can start planning out that chronology. And let's just put this one down here. Now, again, this could be your personal to-do list. That could be your case management. It's all the same data. I'm just displaying it differently for different purposes. Now, I think from what I understand about UK policing is serious crimes have tools at the moment that kick out timelines, but then everything beneath serious crimes does not. And you're kind of left to your own devices. Why am I showing this to you? It's one of these things where someone receiving this through access to work would not figure that out. This is my point. However, if LNOD, if EDIs, if the digital team knew about MindView and its capabilities, they can structure learning content around how officers in an operational fashion can get the most out of using something like MindView. And that's the challenge I put to you guys. Last but not least, I say I terrify with the Gantt chart. It's nothing to be scared of, but it's definitely an alternative to Microsoft Project. Any transformation officers in the room would bite your hand off at this point as well, because time spent building Gantt charts is just painful. Right, I think I've literally got 20 seconds. So if you guys have got questions, comments, please come and talk to us. Talk to each other. Those of you who said you've got MindView, please share your experience with others in the conference today. We're going to be here for the whole thing. Have I hit my objective, though? Are you leaving this session more excited about the opportunity of using assistive technology? Yeah? Good. Excellent. Everything else has been forgotten. Never mind. We'll make the slides available to everyone, but if you've got any questions, like I said, come and have a chat. Me and Matt at the back of the room. Be happy to do that. Good. Thanks, guys. Thank you.